Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror Hell-o-Ween, the podcast where Alec and Joe are going to cover every Hellraiser movie every day leading up to Halloween. So today we are talking about Hellraiser 5 Inferno, which came out in 2000 and was directed by Scott Derrickson. I'm your co host, Alec, and joining me through this hellish ride is Joe Testa. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you, Alec. Wow. All right. So we are entering a whole new era, a new wing of the labyrinth. We are entering the direct-to-video era of the Hellraiser series.
Yeah, and Joe, I didn't hate it.
Yes.
I didn't hate it. I don't
Yes.
know. Listen, it's the worst of the five that I've
Okay.
seen for sure.
Okay. Okay.
But dude, it's not that bad.
No, no.
It's
And
not that bad.
I'll say I've always been kind of a fan might be too strong a word. Maybe apologist. But this, as far as direct-to-video horror sequels go, and I wouldn't say I'm an authority on the subject, but I've seen my share.
Yeah.
It could get a lot worse, you know.
What's one that you can think of that you're like, good freaking God, like this doesn't even deserve straight
Oh
to
man.
video? Is there anything?
That's a really good question. I mean, there were so many like, oh God, you know what was it's just keeping it with Dimension Films because this is what they did. Like they would kind of milk a film or a franchise for all it was worth in theaters,
Mhm.
and then they would just pump out these cheapies on video to keep the rights of the franchise.
That's
You know,
notorious for this franchise, right?
that's what they're doing,
Yeah.
they just to hold on to this IP in case they want to use it and to keep it away from their competitors. You know, I mean, there are so many. There, like just from Dimension Films, there was From Dusk Till Dawn 2 and 3. There
Oh.
was The Crow Salvation, The Crow Wicked Prayer, all the Prophecy sequels.
Oh yeah.
Children of the Corn. How could I forget Children
Oh,
of the Corn?
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Did they do
it is.
Amity? They do anything with that?
No, I don't think
No.
they did Amity.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I know. I always like thought Pet Cemetery would have been one of those where they just would have kept going and going and going,
Yeah,
but
I mean, you could almost, they kind of are now with streaming.
Bloodlines. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I
they
mean,
did
we
Bloodlines,
don't
right?
we don't have direct to video in the same way. It's just direct to streaming, and it's a kind of completely different feel. But
Definitely.
yeah, I do have some, this movie's 25 years old now. I do
Yeah.
have kind of some nostalgia for this time period. At least, this movie was shot on 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
It looks like a movie.
It's definitely on film. You can definitely tell. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no other option really back then. And, we do have a legit horror director, that went on to pretty big things in the director's chair. So there's a lot to talk about with this movie.
Yeah, Scott Derrickson. The second I saw his name, I was like, what? And then I looked it up and I was like, damn, yeah, we've covered, I think, every one of his horror movies, I think. Because you and I did Emily Rose, and then Eric and I did Sinister and Black Phone, and then Black Phone 2 is coming out this year. He did that one as well. So he's great. I mean, he is, and this is his first movie, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
totally forgot about Emily Rose, which I'm a
Oh,
big fan
yeah.
of. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
on
I
that
know.
episode.
I
Good
know.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Sinister, and that was good. I know that has like a huge fan base.
Dude, I love Sinister. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Haven't seen The Black Phone, and
Oh,
yeah,
Joe, you gotta watch that, especially with the
yeah,
second one coming out.
I know it. Yeah, and it looks cool, and his movies do have a very like distinctive look. They're very
Mm.
kind of atmospheric, and you can see that here. Like there are some really strong, really cool visuals in this movie.
Oh my God, yeah. This one is it's definitely it veers into a totally different direction. I mean, this basically
Mhm.
has almost no connection to the last ones. But I think the thing that really stands out is they're trying a different type of torture. This isn't physical pain torture. This is psychological torture.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, okay, so they're trying different things. Because yeah, this movie is very like cerebral. Like it's
Mhm.
it's all over the place, but there's not a lot of the torture stuff that
Yeah.
Pinhead is known for, or really any Cenobites, really. I mean, everything's in his head,
Hmm.
basically. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very different. And also, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where it like tests your patience of how much you can hate the protagonist.
Oh
Like,
man, they lay it on really thick, really early.
yeah, they're like, he's a bully. He
Yeah.
cheats on his wife. He's a drug addict. He's not a good father. He's an alcoholic. Like the list
Yeah.
just keeps going.
Yeah.
Like,
And we have a pretty decent cast here. Craig Sheffer,
yeah.
he was the lead in Nightbreed, so we
Yeah.
have like a Clive Barker veteran here,
Hmm.
and there's some other actors that character actors that I recognize. James Remar is his psychiatrist.
Very surprised he was in this. I was like,
Yeah, right?
what was going on in 95 or in 2000, James Reamer, where
Yeah,
you're like, I'm gonna do this.
yeah.
But
So.
he's great in it.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is already, as again, I hate to, qualify it, but as far as direct-to-video movies go,
Yeah.
this is pretty good.
This could have been in theaters and I wouldn't have ever questioned it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also got I didn't even know John Turturro had a brother. This is John Turturro's
Yeah,
brother. And
yeah,
then also I looked this up last night too. Did you know you've seen The Sopranos, right?
yeah.
Janice Soprano, Tony Soprano's sister, is their
Hmm.
cousin.
Oh, I had no
I didn't
idea.
know either. Her name is Ada Turturro. And I was like, what the fuck? So
Oh,
yeah, big Turturro family lineage here.
that's
But yeah,
funny.
so the brother or his partner in this movie, Nick Turturro, yeah. So yeah, some recognizable people.
Mhm.
Some of the special effects were decent. You get the chatter guy again, but he's like cut in half this time.
Yeah.
I thought the other Cenobite ladies were interesting, but also like, why are they in this?
Right. Yeah.
Who are they?
I I really, I mean, we don't get much of them. We don't get
Yeah.
much. We'll talk about how little Pinhead we get in this movie too.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of kind of the traditional Hellraiser elements, but I do feel like when those Cenobites show up, I think it's pretty well done. Like when those two twin kind of sexy Cenobites show up and they're kind of seducing Joe, the detective, like
Yeah.
that feels very Hellraiser to me.
Oh, yeah,
Like
they're like
I
sticking their hands under his chest skin and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
and
that
there's
was
blood all
good.
over their hands. I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's kind of sexual. It's that to me, that's what Hellraiser is.
Yeah, that definitely felt like it. And the very end kind of felt Hellraisery too.
Mhm,
But otherwise, I've heard and I don't know, I've heard mixed things about this, but I've heard that most of these Hellraiser movies were never written as Hellraiser movies. They were literally
mhm,
just random, horror movies, psychological thrillers, whatever, that they, as you were saying, to keep the rights in their name, they would basically just like shoehorn in a
mhm.
subplot that had to do with Hellraiser, and they're called Hellraiser movie. Had you heard that too?
Yes, and I think that is definitely the case with the next three, I want
Okay,
to say. With this one, it's a little contentious.
I
I
know
think,
that's
yeah.
I'd heard about that. Yeah,
So I don't want to put words in Scott Derrickson's mouth. Who am I to do that?
yeah.
But I don't think you can't tell me this was a Hellraiser movie from the ground up.
I
No way.
know, I
I mean,
know.
look, it, you know, Scott Derrickson and his writing partner were hired for this movie. I'm sure young directors have a pile of scripts and ideas ready to go.
Hmm.
So I'm sure they had some kind of noirish, Bad Lieutenant kind of movie. Like these kinds of movies, these kinds of Tarantino-ish, David Fincher-ish movies, they were like all the rage in the 90s.
Yeah,
So I'm sure they had something, uh, ready to go that they inserted Pinhead into. Maybe I'm, making assumptions, but I think it's pretty safe to say because, when you look at the box art of this movie and it's Pinhead front and center, if someone said, "Hey, this is false advertising," it's kind of hard to argue, you know?
yeah. Because I mean, he's probably in it for like if 10 minutes,
Oh
that
yeah,
that would be
I would say
generous.
less. I would say less. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said this on the last episode to remember this because this movie is like an hour and 45 minutes long.
Mm,
So it's like 20 minutes longer than Bloodline. And Pinhead doesn't even come in until way later, I feel like, than
mm,
in Bloodline, and he's barely in it. So it's
yeah.
like, what was the logic of being like, make Bloodline shorter? I want Pinhead shoehorned in the beginning, and then for the next one, they're like, actually, fuck it. Who cares? Do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I think from here on in, it isn't about anything but keeping the budget down
Yeah.
and retaining the rights to this series. Because you know what, I'm sure Doug Bradley wasn't getting scale. I'm sure he was getting a little something more than that.
Yeah.
And putting the makeup on, and that costs money. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Bob Weinstein was all too happy to focus on like Scream 3 and Scary Movie at this time and be like,
Mm,
whatever, we're going to slap the Hellraiser title on this and just
yeah.
release it into video stores. And I wouldn't be surprised if these movies, these next few directed video movies, did turn a profit because this we are coming up on like the heyday of DVD sales, you
Mm.
know. So I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't just tax write-offs, but
Do you
yeah,
think this would have been straight to VHS or DVD? Probably DVD, right?
it was both. It
Oh,
was
okay.
VHS for most people was probably it definitely was still the way to go because
Yeah.
I think I got my first DVD player in I think I got my first DVD player in 2000. So and
Yeah.
I was early. So most
Yeah.
people were renting VHS.
I remember my first DVD was Analyze This,
Mm.
and it was
My
from 1998.
my first was The Faculty.
Oh, that's a good
Um,
one.
yeah, so so that came out at the end of 99, so it wouldn't have been on DVD till 2000.
Well, I remember it was one of those ones too where it was like double like CD. There wasn't any artwork on the actual
Hmm.
disc. It was like that
Hmm.
kind of. I was like, man, these are kind of lame, but whatever. Um, yeah. So yeah, you can tell the budget's definitely a little bit less, but not. I mean, yeah, because there's no space. There's no 17th century France. It's all kind of just like in
Yeah.
Denver. Also, why Denver?
Yeah, I
All
was
the other
thinking
ones
that.
took, yeah, they're all in New York, right?
Right, yeah.
In space in France.
Hmm.
But yeah, never mind. Yeah. So, but yeah, the idea of this movie, it's super kind of all over the place, but it's just this like real scumbag shit detective. But he's like, I guess the only thing that they're like, well, he is good at chess. He's good at chess and basketball, I think. So like that, yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that he's good at puzzles
Oh,
and
sure, sure. And
yeah,
magic.
that,
He can do magic
mhm,
tricks.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty invested in this movie early on, or at least kind of intrigued by it,
Yeah.
by the whole murder mystery. It's very Seven.
Yeah.
And I am with it for a while, and then I feel like it starts to lose me. It becomes very kind of surreal, and I just feel like, where is this all going? And part of me knows where it's all going because I've seen this movie a few times,
Hmm.
and it's always a disappointment. I'll throw my thoughts on out there on the ending now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there are long stretches where I'm kind of yeah going with the mystery, and then points where I'm just kind of frustrated.
Yeah, it's almost like if this wasn't a Hellraiser movie, you might enjoy it more. Because for
Mm,
me, I was like, how are they going to work the lament configuration and Pinhead into it? And will that satisfy me? Because I don't know anything about these characters and it's a new location. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I was kind of tricked when Pinhead came out as James Reamer. I was like, no way.
Oh, I mean, I think it's fair to be tricked because it doesn't seem like Pinhead operates this way. Like everything we know
Yeah,
about Pinhead is so different in this movie. So I think that's fair. I
yeah,
wish, they had more time maybe to um, work in the Hellraiser, mythology more seamlessly,
yeah.
because to me it does feel a little shoehorned in. But time is money, and that's something that these movies aren't going to have going forward.
Yeah, yeah. So. Pinhead, actually, that was one thing I was thinking about money wise. Did Pinhead's pins, were those CGI for one shot? Or am I crazy?
when he morphs from James Remar to Doug Bradley, I
Yeah.
definitely think there's some CGI
Okay.
happening there. But other than that, it seemed pretty practical to me.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't all the time, but there's one part where I was like, fuck, are they gonna do this the whole movie? Where it's gonna look
Mm,
like N64 graphics coming off of his face?
mm,
Like, oh my God. But no, it definitely wasn't. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. The plot, yeah, it starts off where the detective gets called to a murder and he goes and that there he finds the lament configuration box at
Hmm.
this murder and a finger in a candle, which is kind of
Hmm.
like, oh Jesus Christ. And
Yeah.
it's a kid finger, so you're like, all right, this is kind of like Seven now. It's real, it is messed up. Also, so that makes me ask, think of this. Do you think there's more? Is there more than one lament configuration box, or is it just the one?
There definitely, we've seen other ones.
Yeah,
Um,
because Chenard, I thought, had a
right,
couple in his
exactly.
room, right?
So I almost feel like maybe there is the one main one,
Yeah.
you know? That's how I always thought of it. Maybe
Okay.
people have tried, to make them and failed, or it's almost, I mean, I guess there's more than one Necronomicon in the Evil Dead universe,
Right.
but to me, I almost think like there's one main one, and then maybe.
Yeah, because this box gets around. It's in Morocco in the first one. Now it's
Mhm.
in Denver. So you're just like, where the fuck is this? I mean, so yeah, I guess there is potentially only one, but maybe more.
Mhm.
But yeah, so we're in Denver. We got the shit cop. He's just like, his wife is like, "Are you coming home?" He's like, no. And then he just like leaves and he goes out and has sex with a prostitute. And then he leaves the prostitute. He just drugs with her, all this stuff. And that was kind of like a cheesy porno-y, kind of like
Yeah,
like softcore Cinemax porn.
yeah.
Um, but then he leaves and he gets a call at the office and it's from the prostitute. And she's just like, oh my God, like I need your help. I need you to get
Mhm.
over here, whatever. And he goes and she's dead and she's like
Mhm.
strung up and she looks like a Cenobite got to her or something like that. So then this was the first, like we know this character's a scumbag, but what he does to his partner, I was like, why? Like, why are you
Mhm.
such a piece of shit, dude? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like, what do you think was his motivation to do that?
I guess just to hold it over his head
Ugh.
later on. Yeah,
Yeah,
because the partner doesn't want to, you know, get involved in this mess. That there's a dead hooker that Joe was sleeping with, and
yeah,
and he essentially asked his partner to help him clean up any evidence that he was with her. And the partner does later in the movie want to say, I'm going to go to the captain and I'm going to kind of confess. And Joe is like, I wouldn't do that because there's evidence there to implicate you.
yeah. I know. I was like, why even involve your partner? Just do it yourself, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah, so he fucks over his partner big time. And he's just like a dick to everybody, even like the forensics people. He's like whipping the books out of their hands. He's like, get to work. And like, he's like, I
Mm,
need those results tonight. And I don't know, he's just like, I liked him because he kind of reminded me of like an even scummier James Woods from Videodrome for some
yeah.
reason. Like, but I can understand why people would be like, this guy's a fucking asshole, like everywhere
Yeah,
he goes.
I think it's maybe a credit to the actor that find I do find him, I don't, likable is not the word, but
Yeah.
I don't completely turn on him.
Right,
And
right.
again, I do feel like it's also the kind of the era of that. I just feel like, I go back to kind of Tarantino movies, or if you have ever seen Bad Lieutenant with Harvey Keitel, I
Mm.
just feel like this kind of trope, especially in like film noir too, this very complicated, kind of gray, morally gray characters, and they're definitely doing a film noir kind of thing.
Oh
I,
yeah.
I just I feel like it's appropriate.
Yeah, that was interesting too to have Hellraiser have like, this film noir voiceover
Narration,
too.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if I love that.
Yeah, I mean, in a Hellraiser movie, that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to imagine myself in 2000, like you, like being a fan,
Hmm.
having seen the last four, and then this one is such a pivot that you're like,
Yeah.
if I'm a fan of what those are and then what this is, I
Hmm.
can understand why people wouldn't like this.
Yeah, definitely. I almost have to think of it like there were some really cool Hellraiser comics that came out in like the
Oh.
80s, and they were just anthology stories. Like
Uh,
you said, that box got around. Like each one
mm,
of these stories was about the box,
right, right.
going somewhere else. And I almost think of these movies kind of like that. They're just kind of little Hellraiser Twilight Zone episodes.
That's the realm we've entered now. Yeah, because the
Yep.
first four felt like this is actually a story. Like this is one
Right.
kind of continuous story. But now it definitely feels like, okay, we're just following Pinhead in the box and whatever he's
Hmm.
getting up to. But yeah, but there's no Angelique. The only other character is like this character called the Engineer. And I liked it. I liked the mystery of like who is the
Hmm.
engineer? Everybody knows the engineer. And it even is cooler that it's a police story, like lore. Like I thought that was cool too.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, the engineer has this kid apparently, and he's sending fingers or leaving them at crime scenes, and he's basically killing people that are only really related to this guy, the police officer.
Yeah.
Because Joe is his name, right? Yeah, because
Hmm.
he kills his I guess his bull or the kid that he bullied in high school. I don't really know why, but they kill that so that he can get the lament configuration at the house. He
Hmm.
kills his informant, that
Yep.
guy,
His hooker.
prostitute. Yep.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. They're only killing people around him. But yeah, that's the thing. Like they make it seem like it's gonna be him the whole time, and then
Hmm.
it is basically, right?
Well, if you want to flash forward to the ending, I mean,
Yeah.
you did miss a small scene where after he sleeps with the prostitute, he's messing around in the bathroom with the
Oh, right.
lament configuration.
Yeah, that's
And
huge. Yeah.
at this point, and he, I guess, solves it, it opens, but not much else happens. And I guess we are to believe everything that happens from that moment
Yeah.
on he is in his own personal hell.
Right.
Like, yeah, it is essentially kind of it's kind of saying the movie's a dream, which is a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
It's nothing is happening in the real world. And so much of the movie is very surreal, and we get some really great, almost David Lynchian type
Mhm.
imagery, which I really appreciate. But when nothing when everything is just kind of surreal and nightmarish, nothing really matters. And I
Yeah.
am invested in this murder mystery. And to find out, well, we're just in hell and he is the killer. To
Yeah.
me is pretty unsatisfying.
Well, it's also kind of annoying because the lament configuration truly is in Denver and it truly is at this guy's house who got murdered. So there's a reason that it's there, but
Right.
then
So
we don't know what happens. Somebody killed
like
this guy.
is everything just kind of Joe's personal hell, or does it just start at the lament configuration when he opens the box? Like,
That's what I think. Yeah.
well, that's awful. I mean, we'd never
Yeah.
find out anything about this kill.
Right.
Like, I want
Mm.
that movie I want the movie it sets up.
Yeah.
Like I would just, I think wouldn't it be cool if the killer, the engineer, if he was like Frank maybe, and he was killing people to, he escaped from hell. Maybe that's too much like
Oh,
the other
no, I would
movies,
have liked
but
that.
I'm
Yeah.
trying
Connect
to,
it to some
I'm trying
degree.
to figure out a way to make this a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have
And
helped.
yeah, and just maybe making Joe like a good cop who to catch this killer compromises his own morals, and becomes through the course of the movie as bad as the killer himself,
Mm.
and they end up in a hell together or something. Because as it is, like I don't think Joe is bad enough to suffer the fate that he suffers.
Yeah.
Like it just not in the terms of what we've seen in this series. Like he's not a Julia or a Dr. Chenard,
Right.
especially if we're just going by what we see before the box opens,
Yeah,
you
he doesn't
know?
seek this box out either. It seems like
Yeah.
everybody else like they know about this, they want this, and this
Yep.
guy just is like listen, I'm a bad dad. I'm not a
Yeah,
great cop, I'm a drug addict, but
yeah,
like, do I deserve this? I don't
yeah,
know.
and it kind of gets to a problem I have with the way Pinhead is depicted in this movie. It's almost like, I talked about in Hellbound where I don't really look at Leviathan as a Satan as we know
Oh
him
yeah.
in like in Christian mythology.
Right, right, right.
It's different to me, and to me in this movie, Pinhead comes across like a very kind of traditional Satan, like he's sitting in judgment on
Mm,
Joe, and that just doesn't really seem like what Pinhead's whole MO is. Um,
yeah. Yeah, because it was kind of what I was saying earlier about like this is like psychological torture that he's
mhm.
imposing on him. But that's the
Which
thing.
is interesting,
It is, but it kind of isn't at the same time because you're like, well, he gets something out of like doing that, like ripping flesh, and that's all he talks about and stuff like that. So what is he getting out of watching this guy like be confused, basically, like
Yeah,
and squirming around, just being like, fuck, I thought that I killed myself. I didn't. Oh, okay. I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, the motivation's kind of weak,
hmm Yeah.
but
Yeah, those things I bump up against, but all in all, along the way, I think it's a fairly entertaining movie, a
yeah.
visually really striking movie. Again, if we're talking direct-to-video movies of the era, especially, I think this is definitely one of the better ones you could have picked up.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, there's that.
It's got some decently scary imagery. I mean, especially towards
Yeah.
the end when he's freaking out and he's got like the mom with no eyes and he's got the
hmm
knife and he's got to shoot his parents and
hmm
the Hellraiser or the Cenobites are kind of scary. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. And seeing your wife and daughter like chained up on a hell spirit wall being like, frozen. Oh, that CGI looked like shit though when they broke. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do wish they could have just kind of incorporated these Hellraiser, uh, incorporated the Hellraiser mythology just better. But you know what? Like, I've heard so many stories about like the Weinsteins and like when they hire you, they want to see a rough cut yesterday.
Yeah.
So I could only imagine, what kind of deadlines these guys were on. And I imagine they had some kind of noir script that they rewrote in a rush,
Yeah.
to meet deadlines. And this is what we got. And you know what? I mean, I don't want to jump forward too much, but we're going to be begging for this movie in a couple weeks or in a couple days. So,
Yeah, no, I'm not against it yet. I did have
mhm.
my first moment where I laughed out loud though at these movies.
Okay.
When those like ninja cowboys came
Oh,
out and like beat the shit out of Joe. I was like, what? I thought they were gonna be Cenobites. I was like,
yeah.
oh shit, here we go. And then oh,
So their leader is kind of an interesting character actor that I recognize from Fight Club. He had like one scene
oh,
in Fight Club that
huh.
I remember, and another kind of David Fincher. I feel like Fincher is all over this movie, or Fincher inspiration.
Hmm.
But during that like martial arts scene, I was like, man, I wonder if this is 2000. The Matrix was the year before.
Yeah.
And this is right around the time of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Another story I've heard about the Weinsteins. Actually, Rob Zombie told this story. I remember he was talking about when he was writing what was supposed to be the third Crow movie,
Hmm.
which never ended up getting made.
Oh.
And he was saying like Bob Weinstein, whatever was the big movie that weekend, he would call up Rob and be like, it needs to be more like this. It needs to be more like I Know What You Did Last Summer
Oh my
or
God.
Starship Troopers. Like it wouldn't even make sense, but those would be his notes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he called up Scott Derrickson and was like, make it more like The Matrix, you know?
Uh, What? It's like, sure. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he just puts in the scene, but yeah, that scene was insane.
I
Uh,
could be wrong, but that's what I
it
was thinking.
sounds right because this comes out of total left field.
Yeah.
I was kind of into it until that. I was like, ooh, who's this like cowboy character? And it
Yeah.
reminded me of Mulholland Drive, like for a
Yeah.
second,
I'm telling you, yeah, there's
Yeah.
some Lynch here, there's some Fincher.
Yeah. So overall, hey, you know what? If you go into it just kind of like Honestly, if this wasn't called the Hellraiser movie and then you just watched it and these things just happened, you might enjoy it more. I don't know.
Hmm.
But James Remar, that was cool to see him. CGI was decent. Story was okay, and it kind of ends on a big downer of Joe just realizing he's caught in this perpetual loop of having to keep reliving the same day over and over again. And no matter what he does, he shoots himself. He doesn't. He just ends up on the bathroom floor with the lament configuration next to him, and he this is it forever. So Pinhead must just be like, all right, who's next? And just kind of like leaves, but. Yeah, because he doesn't get defeated in this one, Pinhead. It's the first time he kind of just totally wins.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's such a he's not, he's not a antagonist, he's just it's, barely a cameo.
I
So
know. The poster's cool though, at least.
it's great. Yeah.
I'll give him the poster.
Mhm.
Terrifying new chapter in the Hellraiser legacy. Yeah, well, wasn't too scary, but well, Joe, you got any last minute thoughts on Inferno?
I mean, we'll probably do a ranking at the end, but tell you the truth, just as a, ex watching this movie, I enjoyed it a little more than Bloodline.
What?
I think I did. That
Wow.
might be heresy. But just this viewing, I've seen all
Yeah.
these movies before, and I
No,
always
yeah.
would have said, the first four for sure. I think today I'm gonna say Inferno over Bloodline by a hair.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll see how you feel by the end.
Yeah.
But so the next one is Hellseeker. Okay.
Hmm.
So, all right. Wow. So that one came out in 2002. So they were like, all right, let's keep them going.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you very much for joining me down this journey of the Hellraiser franchise, day 5 here. And we'll be back tomorrow with Hellraiser Hellseeker.